Show you a little trick here. I got an 18 horsepower twin 2 IC industrial commercial engine Briggs & Stratton. This is going to be a repair on the valves. It's real easy, real simple, not much behind it at all. Sometimes when you go out and try to crank your mower, you get a mower, it seems like the battery's dead. You charge it, it still won't hit a lick. The engine will grunt 1 or 2 times and stops. The best thing to do, instead of going out trying to buy all these parts, some people go out and buy, well, my starter went bad on it. If it can't be the battery, it's got to be the starter. That's what most people say. Well, the best thing to do is, there's an opening right here where your spark plug goes in. Take both your spark plugs out. And if it turns over really fast, like you want it to, you know you have like I call it a compression lock, where your valves are not opening and closing, letting your exhaust leave the chamber like it should. This would be your intake valve, which runs from the carburetor. Real simple. This pipe runs from the carburetor, runs straight into the head here, goes right into your intake valve. This is your exhaust. This is your exhaust muffler right here. This is your exhaust valve. So what I've done here, I've taken this head off and it opens this up, and it's at top dead center. Top dead center is when you put your finger over a spark plug hole and you feel air coming out. Then you know you have top dead center. The only time you want to do this adjustment is at top dead center. Let me show you where the valve adjustments are located. Hopefully you can see this. But right in here is what they call a valve cover. Your valve cover looks just like this right here. It sits inside the engine like that. There's 2 screws, one there and one there. Take them screws out. Then you can see, let me see if I can get this pipe out of the way for you guys. Then you can see your valve springs right here. Okay. So again, the top one is your intake, because your top intake valve is right here. Exhaust right here, because there's your exhaust pipe. And the bottom one is your exhaust. So what I've done here is, instead of me taking the whole valve out and grinding it down, I've actually taken a screwdriver, pushed open the valve, and have stuck a wrench in right here. And then what I'm going to do to get my valve clearance, because most times what you have to do is take these valves out and grind them. But if you got yourself a file, you go to Lowe's, hardware store, anywhere for steel shavings, what you want to do is take this right here. Make sure you keep it clean. You can see it in here, I'm not sure. But take it right in there and just grind. Just go back and forth over top of that valve. And what you're initially doing, let me see if I can get a good shot of this, because I'm not really good at this show. I'm trying to hold the camera and do this. So what I'm doing is, I'm taking a file, I'm going back and forth over top of the valve seat. Not the valve seat, but the valve end. Excuse me. Then, what I'm trying to do, initially, I'm trying to get to the point where I can get my feeler gauge in there, which is 0.007 on this one, to slide in and out of that clearance. And once I know I have to slide in and out of the clearance at 0.007 off this, I can let the valve go. How I'm trying to figure out how my clearance is I'm letting the valve let go, put the valve back in. I'm taking me a feeler gauge and I'm checking the clearance inside where the valve is sitting. And once you reach your specifications on it, you should be ready to go. Let me see if I can get some better. I've got my clearance now on the top valve. 0.004. So the next one I'm going to do is going to be at my exhaust. This is your exhaust right here. Exhaust valve muffler. Okay, this one calls for a different spec. I'm going to put this one at 0.7 on this one, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my feeler gauge right here and find my 0.7 or 0.007. Excuse me, I'm sorry out there. Anybody want to correct me? I'm trying to do this on the fly. But I'll find that and I'll see what, I know there's no clearance between the valve and the lobes because I've already checked. I couldn't even get a 2 in there. So I'm going to pull this valve out with a screwdriver, prop it open, and shimmy it down till I get my clearance. And I'll be working on this valve right here. I can't really, like again, I keep telling you, can't really do this because I'm one-handed. I'm trying to hold the camera, but you'll see I'm just pushing against the valve, opening the valve, and it's opening right here at the end right here. See how it opens up right here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take me a screwdriver or a wrench. I'm going to put it in there and prop it open. Hold tight. I'll be right back. Okay, guys. I've got my exhaust port, exhaust valve propped open with a screwdriver right here. That's all I need. Again, exhaust pipe, exhaust valve, intake valve. So I'm working on an exhaust valve. This is going to be a 0.007. See the bottom one in there? I'm not sure you can see it real good, but it's open and it's away from the lobe where it makes it go up and down. So I'm going to take my handy file. Once I put my hand on it here, I just had it in my hand. I'm going to take my handy file right here. Instead of me taking this valve out, I've already adjusted the top one. Got it where I want it, but I'm going to put it at a loose 7. Okay? Very, very simple. It's just time consuming because it seems like you want to get done with it quicker. But unless you're real knowledgeable about taking these valves out, this is actually a good way of doing it. Okay? So just take your valve, take your file, and go over the end of it, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, real even and real smooth until you reach your point where you're at your specifications for whatever your engine's at. And I'm going to be working on this and I'll be right back. See guys, what I'm doing is taking my metal file, I'm grinding back and forth across that valve right there, trying to get my clearance. This is what it looks like when it's propped open. You got it propped open. And I'm trying to do this. I'm just taking the metal file, going back and forth, going back and forth, going back and forth. I've already done the intake here at the top. I lose 4.4 on that, which is good. Now I'm going for a 7 on this bottom one, which is will be an exhaust port right here. Got it propped open, exhaust port. Okay, guys, I got the valve adjustment done. Everything put back together. Let's see if she'll turn over and see what we get out of it. Give a little choke to it. And there you go. Simple valve adjustment. So it wasn't the battery. It wasn't the starter. So I'm going to put everything back together and put the sides on it. Take it back to the customer. But there you go. Don't think you have a dead battery or your starter is bad. If you haven't adjusted your valves, which should be once a year, along with regular service, that's what it can lead up to. A mower that won't crank, and leading you to buy a $60 battery, $80 to $120 starter or more, and you're just throwing your money away. Thanks, guys.